On July 15, 1916, William Boeing incorporated Pacific Aero Products Company and the Boeing Company was born. Since then, Boeing has spent this first 100 years in business focused on innovation in the aeronautics and good corporate and community stewardship. In 2009, Boeing took ownership of its plant in North Charleston, South Carolina, and announced the site as the location for a second final assembly site for the 787 Dreamliner program. Since then, the company has been praised as an integral part of the community, having donated more than $28 million to nonprofit organizations and volunteering staff time to more than 500 community projects throughout the state. Now the company finds itself in a face-off with production workers who are considering whether or not they want to be represented by the International Association of Machinists Union. Boeing says South Carolina employees are respected for their contributions to the company and compensated fairly, but some frontline workers believe otherwise. Tim Keating, Senior Vice President of Government Operations, leads Boeing Global Corporate Citizenship Organization. He sat down for a one-on-one conversation with the MinorityEye to discuss the union vote and outline Boeing's long history of dedication to the communities it serves. Tim, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for taking the time to sit down with me this morning. Wanted to start out. I'm aware that you spent some time in the Clinton administration. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I spent 4 glorious years in the Clinton White House from first day. I was there January 21st, and my role was Special Assistant to the President and Staff Director for Legislative Affairs. So, nice title, but really what it was I was the liaison between the President and Capitol Hill, going up, talking about the administration's ideas, to be an advocate. And I got to tell you, it was an exciting 4.5 years of my life.
Could you tell us a little bit about Boeing's impact, economic impact on South Carolina since you guys have been here?
It's been absolutely phenomenal. And so since I've seen it from day one, I was part of it. And when you take a look and now understand that it's not only the Boeing facility in North Charleston, it's what we call the Boeing effect throughout the state. Over 100,000 aerospace workers now in South Carolina. When you look at aerospace as a whole, people talk about manufacturing jobs. They've disappeared throughout this country. People are no longer manufacturing. Well, aerospace is, Boeing is, and in fact, aerospace represents 13% of all manufacturing in this country. And now South Carolina has a nice big piece of that pie. We're proud of the workforce. We're part of being in this community. And I got to tell you, the people have responded down here in kind. Great workforce.
Boeing is a great corporate citizen, and you guys have made strong strides in promoting STEM education. Can you tell me a little bit more about what are you guys doing to promote STEM?
Surely. It's one of my other hats that I do is I run our global corporate citizenship. So I review all of the grants and where they're placed and how they're placed. When we entered into South Carolina, we took a step back for the first year and we said, where are we needed? What's needed? How can we make a difference? One of the programs that we started was our Dream Learners, where we would take engineers, our employees, managers, put them into schools, get kids interested in STEM, let them know that they have a future. They don't have to leave South Carolina, and they have a real future and real jobs. And it's right here, and it's right with Boeing or with the other companies that are aerospace companies here. But it's to get them interested. It's to get them learning. We've partnered with the University of South Carolina. We've partnered with local schools. We've partnered with MUSC. It's a holistic approach. We're going to push STEM because that's That's the core. We need people to understand math, science, engineering. We need that for our future workforce. We partnered with Trident Tech to take kids graduating from high school and putting them on a track through a program at Trident Tech that pushes them into the aerospace field, trains them. And I got to tell you, it has been really rewarding, not only in terms of getting a quality workforce, but in terms of the 500 or more volunteers that we get out of our North Charleston facility that go and help teach in schools, help mentor children, help make a difference in this community. So being a good corporate citizen for Boeing, it's a big deal.
Okay. Now, how does this commitment to education and supporting STEM, how does it extend to the workers? What opportunities are there for those who work at Boeing?
What a great question, because there's two ways to look at it. There's the STEM education in terms of what we're doing in the local communities, to which we've made an investment of probably just over $32 million in the last 5 years. And then there are the benefits that an employee gets with Boeing. And one of the great things about the way we are organized here in North Charleston is the fact that we can get floor workers and our teammates that are mechanics to work directly with the engineers. It ends up being it's this flexible workplace, and we get to work together. They get to see one another. As a result of that, we're finding that we have people that are working on the floor that want to advance their education. They want to go back. They want to become an engineer. They want to get that 4-year degree. And Boeing does that with them. We provide tuition support. We're interested in getting a workforce that wants to be educated, and we benefit from it. A lot of people say it's a wonderful benefit that Boeing pays the tuition. The truth is, Boeing benefits it because we get people that want to move up and they want to make a difference for our company.
Okay. While we're on the subject of the workers, there's recently been some talk in the news about unionizing at Boeing. Could you explain to my viewers what's going on with this process? We realize that a date has been set for the vote. Can you expound on that a little bit?
Sure, happy to. February 15th, there will be a vote, and it will be our workers and the International Machinists Union are trying to organize in our North Charleston facility. It's kind of ironic because this is the same union that tried to shut the plant down in 2010. This is the same union that when we were negotiating here in Charleston said the people in Charleston couldn't build airplanes, that people in the South couldn't build airplanes, that they didn't have the skill sets and nor could they be trained in it. This is the same union that has been trying to denigrate what we've been doing here. But now all of a sudden they're coming down and saying that they're going to be the saviors. It's a little offensive. I would say that one of the great successes that we have in this community is the ability and willingness to talk, work through problems, listen to one another. I have never felt more warm in any location than I do when I come down to Charleston or anywhere in South Carolina. They know that you work for Boeing. It's just a warm feeling. They say, thank you for helping our community. Take a look at what's happened at unemployment numbers since Boeing has come into the state. We want you here. We're glad to have you here. And part of it is because we've been able to have a discussion. There's no such thing as a perfect organization. You're always striving to be better. And one way we're better is that we have direct conversation. We don't have to go through a third party. Boeing is not anti-union, but we don't need unions everywhere. And we certainly don't need them to throw a bucket of cold water on something that we have that's going really well here. And it's been they're a difficult organization at times. The head of the union, in fact, has refused to meet with our CEO. Refused. Now, in Charleston, that goes against the grain of the people. It's about how you sit down and talk and work through issues. Head of the union won't meet with us. What he says is that I won't work with Boeing. I want to give them a black eye. They call themselves the Fighting Machinists. But they can't fight against the people that they should be working with. You know, there's an old expression, you can't love jobs and hate the people that create them. I think Mr. Martinez needs to understand that, and that the IAM needs to understand that we have something good going here. It's not to take away from anything that they have going in Seattle, but they're really not needed here. And they would, in effect, come in and prevent the conversations, prevent the flexibility of work, prevent the growth that we've had by coming in here with a poisonous attitude of we're not going to work with you.
How does the union the workers' salaries in terms of nationally compare to Boeing workforce across the country, and what's the staff number?
Sure, and you know what, and that's a good question, and that's what people really need to sit back and understand. What the IAM is coming in here, and they're telling our workers that they will immediately get Seattle wages in South Carolina. That's not the way it works. The way it works is the Boeing Company pays above market wages wherever it's at. We take and make an investment of people like we talked about with working with Trident Tech, or once they're in, trying to get them, if they want to a higher education level. We work with our people. We recruit them. And once we recruit them, we want to retain them. So in order to retain them, you pay them competitive wages and you pay them competitive benefits. That's what Boeing does across the country. That's what Boeing does in South Carolina. It's what we do in Puget Sound. We pay above market rates. Now, what ends up happening is, if you take a look at some of the contracts that the IAM has negotiated in this region, the day they filed against us, they signed a contract in Huntsville. The contract that they signed in Huntsville, that they take credit for and they're lauding, is $1.50 less an hour than we start our workers here in Charleston. They negotiated a market-based wage. We pay above a market rate waged. So it's about being fair. We want to be fair. It's about providing benefits for the families. It's about being a good corporate citizen. That's what we try and do every day. And you'll hear a lot of things that are said over the course of this campaign in the next couple of weeks that, quite honestly, they're disingenuous and they're not true. We want our workers to be happy, and we strive for that every day.
Thank you for taking time to sit down with me. Before I go, is there anything you didn't say that you'd like to say?
Yeah, I would. One thing I would like to say is, and this goes to our workers, I hope that they take the chance on February 15th to go out and vote. Don't let others decide for you. That's what about a democracy is about you going in and voicing your opinion. And don't let anyone push you around. Go and do what's right for you. Do what's right for the company. Do what's right for South Carolina. But vote.